Well, howdy there, partner. Thanks for tuning in to Vaguely Scientific, the rootin' tootin'est show this side of the Mississippi. So hitch up your boots, settle in by the campfire, and let's get to jawing about science, one wild speculation at a time. I am Derek. I'm the sheriff of these parts, wrangling up some good old-fashioned conversation with my trusty co-host, the sharpest mind in the West, Jim the Science Kid. Howdy, Jim.
I just invented dynamite.
Yeehaw! And wouldn't you know it, we got ourselves a real special guest riding into town today. Give a warm welcome to Joel.
Yippee-ki-yay! Oh, wait, there's a snake in my boot.
Oh, no. Well, now, this here's a show where we wrangle up listener-submitted questions and do our darndest to answer them in a way we like to call vaguely scientific. Now, we ain't saying we always hit the bullseye, but by thunder, we sure do love rustling up some answers. But hold your horses, because first, it's time for Jim's knee-slapping science fact of the day. Jim?
All right, I am done with this part of the bit because I'm not going to read this answer in the cowboy language.
No, we're doing the whole thing in cowboy.
We're doing the whole thing in cowboy.
We're doing the whole thing in cowboy.
You guys can. I can't commit to that. Anyway, here's the fun science fact of the day. The closest black hole to the Earth is known as Gaia BH1. It is just over 1,500 light years away, has a mass around 10 times that of our sun. So not too far away.
Okay. Just 1,500 light years. Yeah,
I mean, that's a lot. You know, that's like whatever 1,500 times 6 trillion is, but in miles. But I mean, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's not too far away because the Milky Way galaxy is about 100,000 light years across. So
here's a question that will mean virtually nothing to me. But you say it's 10 times the mass of our sun. Mm-hmm. Are we able to calculate how big it is?
There's a conversion for that. I can't remember because I think that if I recall correctly, black holes are pretty consistent. Like if they are a certain mass, then their event horizon is like a certain, size, but I don't know what that is off the top of my head.
Well, that's fair. I would believe that.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it would be all that big, like size-wise, because they're very dense.
I've never tested the intelligence of a black hole.
That was a pun.
You should try. It might be interesting. They might know more than we think.
They might. I've never asked one.
Entirely possible.
We should get them on this show.
Yeah. I look forward to be crushed into a singularity.
That'll be our grand finale.
Yeah.
In the meantime, while we plan for that eventuality, maybe we should talk about our first question this week.
All right.
If you could have the iconic weapon or tool of a fictional character, what would you take and why?
I've got so many answers to this.
I want to start by saying I didn't come up with as many specific answers as I thought I might. The big hindrance to that plan of mine was that I started thinking of probably like just default magical items from fantasy worlds, or maybe lightsaber could theoretically count. But here's why I vetoed a lot of objects, is because it says the iconic weapon or tool of a fictional character. So I started thinking it like has to make me associate it with a specific character. Is kind of where I go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I was thinking.
Well, I mean, I feel like with a lightsaber, you can say like, oh, this one here in specific is Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, or
sure,
because they all have a different shape to them. So, or like wands in Harry Potter.
Yeah, that's fair. Like I want specifically Dumbledore's wand.
Yeah,
I figured we were all going to be jumping all over each other to see who could claim theirs first, because I thought we had all have similar objects.
I'll be surprised if we do, but go ahead.
Well, I know my first two thoughts, and I'm kind of vacillating between the two, is the Doctor's sonic screwdriver.
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't even think of that one.
Oh, okay. Well, I feel better now. Then there's also I also got very specific and went 1960s Adam West's Batman utility belt.
Oh, that's such a good one too.
You were close to one of mine because I went 1966 Batmobile.
Okay. See, when I was thinking about it, I was thinking about the fact that so many of these iconic weapons or devices are gigantic MacGuffins.
Yeah.
So with the Dr. Sonic screwdriver, we've had it has gone through such an evolution that now it is kind of whatever the Doctor needs it to be.
Yeah.
And
whatever
Batman's
the plot
utility
dictates.
belt, exactly. And Batman's utility belt is literally just one gigantic plot device.
Yeah,
sure.
It has like a transdimensional pocket of some kind that Batman reaches into so he can find the shark repellent.
Yeah.
So those were my kind of first two thoughts that came forward. But now I'm curious to hear what Jim's answer is.
Well, actually, before you leave the sonic screwdriver behind, which one would you have chosen?
Oh gosh.
Do they have differences other than aesthetics?
Not really, no.
Oh, okay.
Although the new one has a couple wild things in it that I think are kind of cool.
Yeah, aesthetically, I would have to either I'd probably go with David Tennant's in some fashion.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get a better look at the new one when they just did those Christmas specials because David Tennant now has like 5 different sonic screwdrivers.
Yeah.
But I'd either go with like David Tennant or one of the newer ones because those have been kind of neat too.
You take the David Tennant one. I'll take the Matt Smith one because I like the green. I like how it like has the spring loaded top to it. That's fun.
I bought the toy version of the Matt Smith one.
I may have all of the Sonic toys. There's one or two from the old series that I didn't get because it's like the 3rd, 4th, and 5th Doctor Sonic screwdrivers are all basically the same.
Exactly.
But all of the new ones, including River Songs, and including the new one that the 15th Doctor has, it's kind of more like a remote control. I have that toy. That's a fun one to play with. That one's got features, man. Let me tell you.
I do like River Songs.
Yeah,
that
extra
little
cute.
like pinky ring that's on it.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's supposed to go around the ring finger because I think it's supposed to invoke the idea of a wedding ring.
Oh my gosh, it's her Wow.
That's my assumption.
Oh, that's a moment. I never thought about that.
So it's interesting that the sonic screwdriver, like if you had the actual sonic screwdriver, is essentially a multi-tool that can do very technological or plot related or magical stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that you picked Batman's utility belt. Now, you did specify the 60s Batman utility belt, which is very specifically can pull whatever the heck you need out at any time. And that's totally fair. But I've asked a couple other people this question, and the number one answer I have gotten from people has been Mjolnir, Thor's hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a little presumptuous on all of those people's parts, I think. And that kind of made me think this is the direction I went with this. Because there are a lot of different like superhero or even like historic, like Excalibur kind of things that are like mystical and good in battle and make you really powerful or something. And I was thinking, I don't actually need any of those things in my real life.
Right.
And so I'm like, yeah, it would be neat to have Thor's hammer, which can give you lightning powers and the ability to fly and whatever. Mm-hmm. But aside from being able to fly, which I'd love to do I need to be able to fight supervillains? No, I don't.
In fact, I'd prefer if they stay far away from me. And I feel like
I'd prefer. So you could, I guess, get into the situation where if you have these mystical objects, does that also mean that supervillains exist? And I'm like, I'd prefer not. So another answer I heard from a friend of mine was Venom's symbiote suit.
Huh.
And I don't know that I would actually want. There's a lot of drawbacks to that.
Yeah. That seems like maybe one of the worst choices you could make.
But on the other end, the most mundane thing I thought of on my list was the Batmobile, which I thought it doesn't give you any superpowers. It's just a really cool car. But then what are either mystical or superpowered or science fiction technological devices that I could actually use? And most of it boils down to what do I think would be fun to have? Mm-hmm. But I think sonic screwdriver is actually a good answer because that's a tool that you can use pretty much in any scenario.
Yeah. You could drive screws with it.
I ultimately came down with 2, but I have a list of just like a bunch of other interesting answers.
Mm-hmm.
My first thought was Green Lantern's ring.
Oh, that's a good
because
choice.
that gives you the ability to fly. It gives you the ability to breathe in outer space.
Yeah.
And it gives you the ability to make hard light constructs. And sometimes those comic books are really neat to watch what he creates with the ring. And I'm an artist, so I think it would be cool to just like make things.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it gives him the ability to fight superheroes or super villains.
Well, both sometimes.
Both sometimes, yeah. But I'd like to be able to fly and go to space and go to the bottom of the ocean and stuff like that. And then I was thinking of Mjolnir, and I was trying to look at different mythologies, what you could take from that. And I thought the one ring to rule them all, that's a terrible one to take, because if you put that on, you're corrupted, right?
Right.
But the one ring to rule them all was originally inspired by a ring called Draupnir in Norse mythology, which would presumably it was a golden ring that someone crafted as a gift for Odin, and every 9 days it would duplicate itself.
Oh no!
But the duplicates wouldn't have that quality; they would just be mundane. Okay. So this one ring would duplicate itself every 9 days. So I'm thinking, if it is gold, there's your economy crashing infinite supply of money right there.
Yeah.
So that's a consideration, at least.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, one of the things that I didn't do when I was thinking about this question was I really didn't stop to think about things that were practical. I was just thinking of things that were very cool. So that's why I didn't initially think of the sonic screwdriver, but now I'm like on board with that 100%. But I did think lightsaber. And I don't know what I'd do with a lightsaber. Like I have basically it's the same reason I don't have a miter saw. What am I going to do with a miter saw? Like I need a miter saw once every 6 months. And if I need a miter saw, I can borrow one.
At the end of the day, if you have an opportunity to obtain a lightsaber, you're gonna do it.
Yeah. Sure. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I'm not gonna say no to a lightsaber.
Yeah.
I might say no to the exorbitant medical bills of my first major accident with a lightsaber.
Yeah, right. But now the thing that I was thinking about is that like if I had a lightsaber, I feel like I would be a danger to other people. Because I think the first thing I would do is probably go into the woods and start just cutting trees with it for fun, just to see that it would work. And that seems like a dangerous... I guess also it's danger to me, too, because like you said, there's going to be some medical bills involved in being hit by a giant tree.
Well, there's also the continuing debate over whether the lightsaber blade actually has palpable mass.
Right.
Because it is... Basically, the idea is that it's a big arc of plasma, or at least that's the direction that current engineers are chasing to develop lightsaber technology.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have, and I think it's Hacksmith has made the most like functional prototype lightsaber things right now, and they have talked about how you really there's not a sense of substance to the blade, so it takes a different technique, and that would be why I would think I would have missing legs fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I know that's one of the reasons they say that it takes so much discipline to use them. And this is kind of illustrated, and I'm going to curse myself right now because I'm about to praise the fight choreography in the prequel trilogy, but because it's awful and I hate it. But the idea that they are very acrobatic with it actually kind of makes sense, because it would be more like unarmed fighting, with how much you would have to think about the weight that you're holding. But that also means that like it would be really easy for you to just like, drop your hand or something and just have the blade just swipe through your leg, because you're not thinking about the heft of the blade.
Yeah, that's something that I think is kind of interesting, because and it also sort of varies from movie to movie, because I feel like in the original trilogy it looked a lot more like there was some heft to the blade, which, I mean, realistically, I feel like there shouldn't be. But I think that it's one of those things that until we actually had a real one of these things, you really can't tell for sure what it's going to feel like.
Right.
Well, they were originally emulating Kurosawa films, so it was supposed to look like a samurai sword.
Mm-hmm. I really like the idea of having a lightsaber just to have it, though. Like, I may not even use it more than a handful of times, but like, I'm going to say, oh, hey, look at this. And I'm going to turn it on and everyone in the room is going to be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Why you wait until Sharper Image comes out with a little cheese lightsaber?
Oh, yeah. I was thinking of the bread cutter. I think that was from Family Guy, if I remember correctly. Or maybe that was the cheese cutter. I forget.
Here's another one that I have on my list that if we're getting to the point where it's not practical, but it would be cool to own, the portal gun from Portal.
Oh, I think that's pretty practical, actually.
I mean, it can be used practically, but like, I don't think that's why I want it.
Oh, fair, yeah. Because the first thing I thought of as soon as you said that, I was like, oh boy, it should be easy. It would be a lot easier to like reshingle my roof if I could just do that.
I would finally clean my gutters.
Yeah.
That would be another one that we would definitely hurt ourselves, though.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, undoubtedly. Because you're going to forget where you put the other portal at some point, and then
yeah. Well, and not only that, but also I would be like, oh, I wonder what would happen if I like fell through and like did the thing where you just sort of fall through a bunch of the same portal over and over to gain speed. And then once you do that, as a normal human, you hit terminal velocity and die. So
yeah, isn't there something in that game where like the Chell is the main character's name?
She's got those boots.
She's got those boots, and I assume that she's like augmented in some way to. Maybe it's just the boots. I don't know.
I think it's just the boots, because I think other than that, she wears like a tank top and parachute pants. But
well, then I want those boots too.
Yeah. If you get the portal gun, you have to have the boots.
You have to have the boots.
Because otherwise you hit terminal velocity, and as soon as you try to stop yourself, you stick your hand out to like grab the edge, and it just breaks your whole arm off.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Speaking of package deals, the more I think about it, I think the ultimate solution, and the one that we really should be pursuing, is the perfect combo of hologram technology and replicator technology from Star Trek.
The holodeck.
Because then with the holodeck, you get all of the above.
Yeah.
So I actually I didn't think of the holodeck, but I thought of the replicator. And then I was like, the replicator is from Star Trek, but do I associate it with a particular character?
Oh, that's fair.
I was like, I don't know if I can take that.
Oh, yeah.
But you can make your own rules. I'm just like, I did think of that because
that's fair.
I was thinking of ways to game the system.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Chief O'Brien is like in charge of holodeck stuff, isn't? No, he's in charge of the transporter. Never mind.
I mean, Geordi is really skilled at programming. Geordi LaForge, because he programs a lot of holograms. Mm-hmm. There's the whole storyline where he falls in love with the scientist that he programmed the hologram for, and then actually meets her in real life, and she's completely different.
Yeah, It's a little creepy.
Very creepy.
I was trying to think of some other things in Star Trek. I don't know Star Trek as well as I know like Star Wars, but I feel like there have to be some things that are like unique to a character. Maybe some Earl Grey tea. I mean, I can make that on my own though. So
that's your choice.
No, I don't think I need to choose that one because I have some hot, downstairs. Though. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't drink iced tea.
Okay, fair. Yeah. I like iced tea.
I think I'm the one who's the weird one here for not liking iced tea that much.
Well, for other reasons too, but we won't get into that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So the one that I was really fixated on for like the whole day, and it's another one of those things that's not very practical, but I was thinking about Samus's power armor from Metroid.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, because I want an arm cannon. Like I'm probably eventually, when I find the time and the patience, I might 3D print an arm cannon just for fun. And it wouldn't do anything. It'd be plastic, but it would feel cool on my arm. But also, like the suit is really good at protecting against long falls. It is very good at, even in its base form, it can really augment your jump height. And of course, it shoots missiles, which is great when you need that. Infinite ammo. There is no limit to Samus's ammo, and it gives you super strength. So even in its base form, without any of the upgrades, it's still pretty solid. But of course, I would want some of the upgrades if I could help it.
Yeah, I could see an argument being made for various forms of power armor that would be beneficial. Samus's is up there.
Actually, now that I've said it out loud, like, just the super strength aspect of it alone is probably worth the price of admission.
It's fair. On the note of trying to game the system with this question, so because I spent a whole decent amount of time here pointing out all the things I excluded because I was trying to adhere to some rule that I assumed the question had established.
Mm-hmm.
One of the objects that I think might be worth taking is Aladdin's lamp.
Oh,
okay.
Then you could have 3 other things.
Then you could have
that one crossed my
other
mind.
Things. Did it? Okay.
I didn't think about that because I was really looking for like tool/weapon, and I would argue that the lamp is neither. But there is also the argument to be made that it is a tool in some capacity to help him, achieve his goals. So
I looked at a lot of weapons because those are the first things that really kind of come to mind. So I mentioned Excalibur and then several different mythological stories, like what do we got? The Keyblade, the Gunblade from Final Fantasy VIII.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Also, what do you do with a Keyblade?
Well, that is the crux. That is the crux of the question there, Jim. Is that like I immediately thought, what am I going to do with any of these weapons?
Right,
I don't need weapons.
You hang them on your wall and you point to how cool and awesome they are.
Yeah, but like if I have the actual thing, like I know that's what you do with like display. Like I don't know. Are we making?
Oh, I thought that's what people did with actual weapons too.
They might, but
I just had a thought. Here's my just had a thought. Is the Gundam count? That's a weapon.
Yes, it sure does, Jim.
Okay. Because now I think I might have changed my answer that I want a Gundam.
Jim's taking out a 47th mortgage.
I didn't know I had to pay for these. I thought they were just going to be given to me through some magical...
It just says if you could have one.
Yeah.
You're gonna need a 47th mortgage just to afford the real estate to keep it.
Well, but that
true.
brings up an excellent point because like some of the objects we've listed require power or maintenance. Mm-hmm. So like, how are you going to power a Gundam? You are given a Gundam.
Yeah.
And then it's just there.
Then you could use it one time and then that's that. Because I assume they give it to you fully gassed up like a car dealership. But
sure.
But then
assuming they do, like, I don't think this comes with a refueling.
What if I pick one of the ones that's really magical?
That's the trick there.
I mean, to be honest with you, like a Gundam would be great, but like if I had to pick something that's like borderline magical, I guess I could go for like a super robot, like a Getter Robo, Mazinger Z, something that won't need refueled because it's powered by something that's non-existent. So,
willpower.
Yeah, the power of friendship and love.
The power of friendship. I guess Green Lantern's ring technically needs to be recharged with the lantern, so I'll amend to the Silver Surfer's surfboard, which has all the same powers, but makes you silver instead of green.
I mean, I don't know. I think green's a nice color. I feel like if you were all silver, you'd stand out a lot more than if you were just green.
And you might be bound to service of Galactus, which...
Oh, yeah. Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
His dental plan sucks.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard. Have you seen his teeth? They're so...
huge.
They're so huge. Think of how many cavities he has.
Mm-hmm. I think it would be really interesting, like on the note of popping back over to superheroes, I think it would be really interesting to have Wonder Woman's lasso, only because I think it would be fun to use in a court of law.
The lasso of truth.
Like they throw me on jury duty, I'm going to be like, I got this one.
Yeah.
Then they won't pick me for jury duty, actually, which is a win-win in my book.
I mean, it would be useful for just the courts to have it, right?
That's true. Like, I don't need to be involved in that. I could just donate it to, like, some lawyer.
A lawyer who has the lasso of truth.
I like how nobody has considered the invisible jet, though, because you'd forget where you parked it.
Yeah, that's real easy. I wouldn't take that.
I mean, I think the invisible jet on the ground is probably going to be a lot more conspicuous than everyone thinks it will be, because people are going to be running into it with like banging their head off of it. And
you got to be careful where you park it.
Yeah, like if you park it at, I was going to say Kmart, and that doesn't exist anymore. If you park it at Target, someone's going to wreck their car into the side of it immediately.
Some Kmarts do still exist. I remember we looked this
That's
up.
right.
We
did check into that.
Oh, crud. I just remembered where I parked my invisible plane. It's at Hills.
No! You'll never get it back now. It's been impounded.
No!
They have a boot on it, and it's just like hovering in the... Also, it doesn't make sense because it's a flying craft, not a car.
Yeah.
Just put the boot on it so that they could see it.
Just so they can see where it is. Yeah,
right.
It's an indicator.
Just one tiny yellow boot on a landing gear.
Yeah.
It's like, that's so we know where we left it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also really interesting that none of us really chose anything that was that you could really do a lot of damage with. Like, we all chose some things that you could do some damage with, but none of us said like, oh, we want the thing that could split the planet's crust in half and destroy, half of a continent. Like, we were all pretty reasonable with our requests.
Well, of the people that I've spoken to, the three of us in that regard are in the minority. Because most of the people that I talked to immediately went with, I don't know specifics, but they went with like big weapon of, and that's why I was kind of like interested in this. Very quickly turned into what would we decorate our man caves with?
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I was actually offered this question, like, that is not the direction I wouldn't go. And it's so cool that I have the Buster Sword. I'd be like, what would be like a really useful, like, powerful thing to have?
Right.
That,
In that
that's
regard,
just me, though. I don't know.
I really feel like the sonic screwdriver is like S tier because
it's a good call.
You could just use it around the house for things. Like, we've seen him use it to light the stove.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's the does everything machine.
Yeah.
So.
Except wood.
Oh, right.
Except
yeah,
wood?
it doesn't do wood.
Doesn't do wood.
I assume, though, that it can still do drywall.
Neither does the original Green Lantern's ring.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Really? Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah. I always appreciated the observation from Big Bang Theory that you could take out both Golden Age and modern Green Lantern with a number 2 pencil.
That's fair.
That is funny.
But it has to be Ticonderoga for the yellow.
Oh, yeah.
Good old yellow pencils.
Now that I've said like world destroying super weapon, I'm thinking of James Bond gadgets that would be fun to have. And
the laser watch.
The laser watch. Oh yeah, his car would be really, really cool. Although I know that I would be running afoul of quite a few laws with his car because I'd be stuck in traffic and blowing things up because I'd be like, let's get out of the way.
Get out of the way.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of some of the better gizmos that he's had over the years. I couldn't do anything with this, but I love in Moonraker the dart wrist launching dart gun. That thing was cool. But all it is good for is killing people.
You could do the suitcase helicopter.
Oh, the suitcase helicopter. That is a very good choice.
Isn't that from Inspector Gadget?
Well, Gadgets comes out of his head.
Oh, you're right. Okay. I'm not well versed on James Bond.
But I'm positive Gadget was probably inspired.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. In You Only Live Twice, they had the helicopter that is assembled from, it's just 4 really large suitcases. And it's a gyrocopter. But it's like a real thing. Like, somebody made it and they were like, let's put that in that James Bond movie. And they actually did. But that's a good choice. Really, really good.
I like that all of James Bond's gadgets have a parallel in the Penguin, except that the penguins are all parasols.
You're right, they do.
He has a helicopter penguin, or a helicopter parasol.
Yeah. Boy, I'm trying to think if there's any other ones that are really solid in James Bond. Like, he has some really good gadgets, but like a lot of his gadgets are there to inflict harm on other individuals, and I'm not really into that insofar as like doing it on purpose. Like, if I have a lightsaber and I accidentally nip someone, that's, one thing, but if all it is good for is killing people, then I guess it's not really for me.
was Oddjob's hat non-lethal, or did it have like a blade around the edge?
It was bladed. It could cut through marble.
Okay. I blame Austin Powers because I have conflated the hat with the shoe.
Yeah.
Who throws a shoe?
A shoe, honestly?
I always get a kick out of that movie because, at least the first one, it is so clear they know a lot of really obscure James Bond trivia.
Right.
Well, I this list could go on, and that's why I didn't know where to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think perhaps we should probably move on in the interest of time.
Yes.
So does anybody have anything they definitely wanted to say before we move on?
I think I'm good.
What did you say, Joel?
I just said taters.
Taters. Well, there you go.
I feel like you can get those at the store.
Boil them. You can mash them. You can stick them in a stew.
Oh, yeah.
I just know you're anxious to get taters started.
Oh, we should do taters. All right. Well, listeners, let us know what iconic weapons or tools of a fictional character you would take and why. That's because that's the question we just answered. See how I did it and I flipped it back and turned. Anyway, we have a second question in the meantime, which is, would intelligent zombies be more or less dangerous than regular zombies?
I believe we actually have an answer to this already canonically in the Romero-verse.
Oh.
Okay.
Especially when you consider the way that Romero zombies specifically, as that iconic genre-setting zombie, have evolved and changed in different iterations. Because I have recently gone back and rewatched The Night of the Living Dead, because every once in a while it's just great to go and revisit the classic.
Yeah.
I have been surprised at how intelligent even those zombies seem to be in several places.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like the very first zombie that you see trying to grab Barbara, they're going to get you, Barbara. He comes up, and within, I think, 10 seconds of just kind of pawing at the door of the car, he starts beating on it with his fist. Mm-hmm. And then about a minute to 2 minutes later, he's got a rock and he breaks the window.
Yeah.
So even these early zombies are using tools and demonstrating basic intelligence. And then you get later on where some of them are even using, and I put that word a little bit loosely, guns and things. They pick up a gun and there's some memory of being a soldier or hunting or whatever. And so they pick it up. The original Dawn of the Dead has some great examples of this, and it irks me to no end that it's not streaming on more places, that you really have to hunt to find it, because it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But they show intelligence, so I don't know.
I think it's in Land of the Dead. I might be getting that one wrong, but I know there is a zombie that's like a gas station attendant.
Oh yeah,
and they show that like once they're all isolated and they don't have any food, they kind of just like mindlessly go back to whatever their routine was when they were alive. And I always thought that was a fascinating idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I agree with you to a certain extent, because a zombie that knows how to open a door is gonna be better at getting you than a zombie that is gonna just try to pound up against the door and try to break through. But I read the question and was like, I feel like the intuitive answer is that if they had intelligence, they would be more dangerous. So I was trying to rack my brain and be like, what would make them less dangerous? Or in other words, what would make a dumb zombie more dangerous? And I have one angle to state a case for that. And this is from most recently, my zombie media has been The Walking Dead. And they did start in the later seasons of that show. They started showing certain instances of the zombie would like pick up a rock and throw it. And people were all confused and said, "Oh, the zombies are using tools. This is weird. This is bad, right? They're evolving or something." And I think that what zombies have evolved into in our pop culture now, most of the time what's dangerous about them is how they are easily a horde. They easily become a big collection. And I was watching several instances of like people having to run away from a zombie through fire or through some hazard, and the zombies have no concern for their own safety or anything, and then it's like, what do they actually want? If they are intelligent, are they intelligent at figuring out how to get more food, or do they have a sense of self-preservation? And I think what makes them particularly dangerous in that context is how they are just completely driven by the instinct of kill you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, they're going to be reckless in that way.
Yeah.
But there's billions of them.
Right.
So that's my only real strong case, I think, for not intelligent zombies being a bigger threat.
Mm-hmm.
But that is assuming intelligence would come with some level of self-preservation, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's interesting because I sort of thought the opposite, where if they were more intelligent, that their hoarding could be done strategically. But now that you mention it, there's no reason why after a certain point they'd be like, well, why do I have to be the one in the front of the horde? Because I don't want to die. And so it sort of torpedoes the argument that I had about why zombies that are intelligent would be.
I'm sorry.
No, that's good, because I think it's a really interesting idea that there would be some level of self-preservation in that. And
that's why we do this, guys. That's why we do this podcast.
I mean, I think absolutely the intuitive answer immediately was like, yes, intelligence would make them more dangerous. And then I was like, but maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
I think one scenario that you could look at in which a more intelligent zombie would be potentially less dangerous. And I don't know. I'm trying to think back through the catalog of zombie films, and I don't know how much of this has been explored well. Let me put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But if a zombie were to still have some modicum of intelligence that were to preserve some aspect of its conscience. So you might have zombies that are capable of thinking about the ethics, at which point you would kind of get into that whole vegetarian vampire zone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember, because and there are some examples. I just came to mind. DC did a comic series for a while, and then it got adapted into a show for the CW called iZombie.
Oh yeah,
and you get a little bit of that. You get a little bit of that with her character.
The thing I didn't want to talk a lot about that, but maybe you know more than I do, because I don't know enough. But
I know it exists, and I think I read the first 3 or 4 issues, but I'm not as well versed. I know that it's a concept that's there.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the main character is apparently the only zombie that does have intelligence, and so she's like able to make sure she only eats criminal brains and doesn't like hurt innocent people and stuff. And she's like a police investigator. Familiar. And the idea with that is that if she eats someone's brain, she can like see the last few minutes of their memory.
That's
or something like that.
She gets like a ESP flash of whatever their last moments were.
But what I don't know, and I don't want to say it isn't explored, because it very well may be, and I just am unfamiliar with it. But what I was confused about is why she isn't like every other zombie.
Mm-hmm.
And there's probably an answer to that I just don't know.
Well, now that's interesting, because that makes me think also that if zombies were more intelligent, maybe they'd just be like, well, I don't really want to hurt people. Like, I want to be a nice person. And then there's also that then kicks back into a new idea, which is, do zombies have to eat brains to survive? Can they starve to death?
Well, that's the other thing is this is based purely on the Walking Dead example, but I believe it's explored in a lot of the Romero films too.
Mm-hmm.
It seems as though they're dead. They don't actually need to eat. So that kind of goes hand in hand with the self-preservation. If they're intelligent enough, they wouldn't be driven on just this primal urge to consume. They would be able to say, well, I don't need to eat, so I can just go about being, immortal, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, interesting. And then I think it'd be kind of fun to explore the idea that there might be zombies out there that are just jerks and they want to hurt people. And so I guess just like real life humans, there are some people who just want to be mean people. And I guess at that point, just like, well, I'll eat brains because it makes me feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. From a literary perspective, I think intelligent zombies overcomplicates it because
a little bit,
we keep in mind that the zombie genre is always less about the zombies than it is about the humans and their decisions and their characters and how they deal with this post-apocalyptic scenario.
Yeah, most of the time zombie movies are about interpersonal relationships.
Right. And that's one of the reasons that I tend to enjoy them so much, because they're, without trying to use a pun, they're so much more cerebral than we give them credit for.
You just own that one. That one was good.
I knew it was coming, and I just figured, but yeah, you're right. As far as like zombies not eating, I recall in the comics, because I've fallen away from watching the show as much, but I know that in the Walking Dead comics, there was a place where there was a point where they started to realize that if the zombies didn't eat, they would kind of go into some kind of torpor.
Oh, interesting.
And so it would almost be like some kind of hibernation, and then they turn more like the xenomorph eggs, where they have this ability to sense when there's meat nearby, and it kind of stirs them back to undeath.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and that's a vague recollection, so I'm happy to be called out and said that that's not accurate. But
I think that is accurate. Something else you said made me think zombie fiction is not usually about the zombies themselves. It's about the circumstances of the people and stuff. And in that regard, zombies, what makes them a horror monster, what makes them scary is the same thing that it could be a natural disaster. It could be a really common trope in zombie fiction is people running out of food and resorting to cannibalism.
Mm-hmm.
That happens in a lot of zombie stories.
Just ironic.
Right. And I think that is the idea, because every writer who does that is like, oh, what an amazing parallel I've driven uniquely all by myself. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be down on people. But the reason that I bring that up specifically is you could achieve the same kind of story with the same amount of darkness and dramatic tension and discomfort you're giving the audience with a bunch of people trapped in a cabin in a blizzard.
Mm-hmm.
And the zombies or the blizzard are this natural force.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads to the other point of intelligent zombies could be as dangerous as humans, which have demonstrated time and time again are particularly dangerous if they want to hurt you.
Yeah.
I think the fact that zombies have this even liminal form of intelligence in most of these depictions is kind of what raises the stakes, though, for them.
Sure.
Because I was thinking about, you were talking about natural disasters, and the first one that came to mind for whatever reason was the movie Volcano.
Okay.
And that one has high stakes, but in order to have the stakes be as high as they are, it has to be this huge volcanic event in order that is going to level an entire city. And so the lava, it has that same horde-like quality, but the lava becomes more predictable because you can channel it. You can build up blockades and things that will redirect the flow of the lava to steer it away from larger population centers. There are things like that, and it is not impossible to do that with a zombie horde, but far harder.
Right.
So that it's just reflecting on the fact that gives it a much different dynamic too.
Now that you've said it, though, at this point, I think what I've realized is that intelligent zombies are just people. So there's not really anything extra compelling about them being dead people. There is, I guess, maybe storyline wise, but it's the same kind of drama that you might get from a person. So
yeah. Well, it's why the through line is that, we are the Walking Dead, Carl.
We are the Walking Dead. Yeah. Well, there's a parallel to be drawn between an intelligent zombie, because what I'm thinking is, how intelligent do they develop before they stop just wanting to kill and eat people. And then it's like, at what point do they have a motivation other than eating?
Right.
Because if you get to the point where it's a very intelligent zombie, but it still wants to eat people, that's a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
So, at some point you have to explain why zombies don't need a motivation. The more intelligence something has, the more it needs to be justified why it's doing it.
Right.
Which is why werewolves, same thing. Like, werewolves are wild animals.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put a pack of them together and they have some kind of organization, then why are they hurting people?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that makes perfect sense to me. And I think that it would also be interesting to maybe consider how much intelligence then. Because if they're just people level intelligence, they're just people. But if they are as smart as a German Shepherd, is that smarter than they are typically portrayed as in media? I don't really know what you compare them to.
And I was just thinking, because in the instances where there are more intelligent zombies, at least that are coming to mind, tend to be that exception rather than the rule. I started trying to watch the Santa Clarita Diet on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I got turned off because there was just so much gore.
Yeah.
And I might want to go back and revisit it at some point to give it a second chance. But she's kind of that one in particular is an interesting exploration of the idea, because if I recall correctly, basically she like dies in her sleep, but then wakes up and doesn't realize that she's a zombie.
Yeah.
And so it's this process. The other one that the other one that's like this is Life After Beth. That's the name of it.
I've heard the title before.
It is a hilarious movie. It is very subversive of the zombie genre, because she maintains her humanity through so much of it, and then starts losing her humanity as she, basically decomposes and loses more of the physical faculties that death causes.
Have you watched Fido?
Yes, that's another one that came to mind. Because you can definitely see Fido's humanity throughout the entire movie, and that makes it so poignant.
They treat it like zombies have the ability to learn, so you can get zombies that wear collars that prevent them from wanting to eat people, but they will do chores for you. They'll be like your butlers or your personal assistants or something, and it really makes it seem like zombies have the ability to develop as much as a dog could. So it can develop affection for certain people.
And you even get a slight sense of that at the end of Shaun of the Dead. Because they have the zombies pushing the trolleys. I'll be proper British. And they have the zombies they created game shows for the zombies to compete in, and you see the friends sitting there and him smacking him because he tries to bite him and all of that.
Yeah. So I really think you hit the nail on the head, and I think Jim further elaborated on it, that there is a definitive answer to this. And you cited Night of the Living Dead, the ability to pick up a rock and break into a car is a very rudimentary level intelligence. So I think to further expand on that, Jim, you're correct. It depends how intelligent they are.
Yeah.
At a certain point, it plateaus.
Yeah.
Or peaks.
And then you just wrap back around and it's just people.
Yeah. So what's the most dangerous level of intelligence a zombie can have? The ability to use tools.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the other one that just came to mind, and I don't know if they classify as zombies or not, but the leading ladies in Death Becomes Her.
Do they count as zombies?
That's a good question. I think that if they do count as zombies, then they are some of the most intelligent and human zombies that you'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I just rewatched that a while back around Halloween time, and I forgot what an amazingly funny movie that is.
It's a very bizarre movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, how often do you see Bruce Willis playing a leading man, like an actual romantic lead?
Oh, yeah. I forgot all about Bruce Willis being in that movie, actually.
Yeah, he's the mortician guy.
Yeah.
I didn't think about this until now, and I should have thought about it, because my brother would always say that one of the things that he was always afraid of about werewolves and vampires and zombies was similar to why he was uncomfortable with like the possibility of getting bit by a rabid animal. And what's scary to him about that, and I could see this, is the idea that you could turn into this monster.
Yeah.
And that's where kind of, I don't know if Death Becomes Her fully has that. Like they're a secret society of like cultists or whatever that keep trying to indoctrinate other people into it. But those two ladies by the end, I think, are the last two left, and they're not really trying to spread the immortality disease.
Right. Yeah, that's a fair observation, because they don't have the contagion aspect of zombieism.
Yeah.
And they do get pretty decrepit as they get to the end.
Yeah.
I was actually taking a look at Zombiepedia, because they have an entry on intelligent zombies, and it astounds me the number of things that we have kind of left out and not even thought about.
We'll have a part 2 later.
We may have to, because we covered iZombie, but then there's also the Marvel zombies.
Sure.
Reiko the Zombie Shop, and then a manga by Rei Mikamoto. And Is This a Zombie by Shinichi Kimura also depict intelligent zombies. The Draugr in Elder Scrolls.
Interesting.
We didn't touch on. And they can actually use magic. They can even Fusto Ra. So that's definitely one in the column for intelligent zombies are more dangerous.
Well, if they can do magic, yeah, I think that's
You've got the flood in the Halo series. Wolfenstein has zombies, Nazi zombies even. There's all this. I mean, the zombies of the Call of Duty zombies stuff would be interesting to explore deeper too, because they do a lot of storytelling in that. But yeah, there's a lot.
We're gonna have to make a zombie movie, I think.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
I would do it.
Oh, we didn't even talk about ghouls in Fallout.
Oh,
I didn't consider them zombies, but I guess the feral ghouls have
the feral ghouls are zombie-ish.
Yeah. Oh, that's like a whole. That's
a whole other question. That's a whole other question. Are ghouls zombies?
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, listeners, let us know this week if you could have any zombie from any fiction. Which one would you take and why? If you have thoughts on that or anything else that we talked about, you can email us at feedback@vaguelyscientific.com, or you can comment on our blog, or you can like us on Facebook, or you can follow us on Blue Sky @vaguelyscientific. Hey, Jim, where do we get all these wacky questions?
We get them from you, the listeners. And if you have a question that needs to be answered in a vaguely scientific manner, please email us at questions@vaguelyscientific.com. If you want to get our episodes the minute that they're released, you can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and all the other cool places that podcasts like to hang out. And subscribing and leaving feedback really helps us out, and so does telling your friends.
Yeah, spread the contagion like the zombie virus.
Jeez. Yeah, that makes it sound so appealing.
Right?
Our vaguely musical intro was composed by Anthony Pizzelli, and don't forget to check out our merch store over at vaguelyscientific.threadless.com. Did you know? Of course you did, because you've listened to the show for years, that apparently they sell skateboards on our Threadless store. So if you like any of those designs on a skateboard, let us know, because you could take a picture of it and send it to us, because that'd be cool. No one's ever bought a skateboard, and I don't know why they would, but...
Next episode is going to be like, hey, we have skateboards now.
That skateboard has been holding on for a long time.
I mean, you can get any of the, I don't know, like probably 24 designs that we have in our store on a skateboard. We won't stop you.
We add them here and there, so check the store every now and again.
Yeah, and sometimes there's sales. I don't know when they are, but they happen.
They happen. So thank you to Joel for coming on and talking to us.
Betrayal.
For Vaguely Scientific, I am Derek.
I'm Jim.
And I'm Joel.
By golly, we'll see y'all back here for another rip-roaring good time.
Toodaloo, y'all.
Run into the sunset. That one kind of went pirate. I don't know where that went.
all become boomers eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I mean,
all right.
No, but we all do get older eventually.
Get out of here, Jim. Get out of here with your definitions of words.
Different things mean different things.